how much exactly should we eat? What are the guidelines from Quran and Sunnah? What happens if we eat less? What happens if we eat more? What all did the scholars say? That's what we're going to discuss, inshallah. So, in regards to the quantity of eating, we are neither supposed to eat extremely less nor supposed to eat too much, full. Okay, both are makruh. Both are makruh. It is undesirable. So, what is the evidence for this? Very oftly repeated hadith. Many times you must have heard it. It's called the 1/3 hadith rule. The hadith mentions about the quantity. Rasulullah ﷺ, he said in many hadith, especially in At-Tirmidhi and a Sahih hadith, no doubt about that hadith, he said that the son of Adam, or a human being, has never filled a container that is worse than his stomach. So there are many containers that people fill, but the worst container is the stomach. And he said that it is sufficient for the son of Adam just to have few morsels, just little bit, so that he can keep his back straight, so that he can remain upright. Okay, it is sufficient. But if there is no escape, or if he insists on filling his stomach, that is fine, he can fill it, but he has to fill it by other means. How do you fill it? You fill by 1/3 food, 1/3 water, and 1/3 air. That is the rule. So now 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, now your stomach is full. That's the full that is allowed. Okay. So the interesting part in this hadith is that Rasulullah ﷺ, mentioned that he said if you must eat, if there is no escape, then, okay, that means basically saying even 1/3 that you're thinking about, that is too much. Okay. But if you want to eat like really up to your full, then 1/3 is your max. Okay. If you want to eat more, is it haram? Scholars said it is not haram. We're going to talk about evidence why it's not haram, but it is makruh. It is disliked. It is very, very, a bad habit, and we're going to discuss what happens if you eat more. Okay. So, but important thing here is that he used very strong word. Rasulullah ﷺ, he said that worst container, basically stomach, is a worst container. It doesn't mean that food itself, Rasulullah ﷺ is not saying food is a bad thing, you should stay away from it. No, he's saying he used to enjoy food, right? We discussed last time when we talked about the Prophet's personality, the kinds of foods that he liked, right? So he used to like a lot of foods, but he never filled his stomach. And that's what he taught us as well. And what is the golden rule? How much should we eat? Whenever we feel hungry, that's the time we should eat. Whenever we get the hunger pangs, that's when we should eat. Not just because the food is in the front, I should grab it. No, that's not why you should eat. But even if you eat, you should eat to the extent that, okay, you feel now that I can keep my back straight, I won't like shake, I won't really, if I pray my salah, I won't be focused about eating or something about a certain kind of foods. If you feel that way, then that's it, you have reached your amount. Okay. So if you really sometimes in iftar or something like that, you want to eat like full stomach, or even the suhoor in the Ramadan time, right? So you think that by eating more it is going to help you, but it's actually going to harm you more. It's actually going to harm you more, because if you really want to have the best fasting, you eat very little, and that's the one that's going to give you maximum strength. Try that sometimes. People think that more food means less hunger and easier fast. That's not true. Okay. And there are many things that that people do on extreme basis. Like some people like sleep a lot, some people like talk a lot, some people like play a lot. But Rasulullah ﷺ was very particular when it came to food. The most damaging thing is that when you eat a lot of food. That's why he strongly used the words the worst of the containers. Okay. But what exactly? The Sunnah way is very simple. There is no harm if you want to eat like 10 times a day. There's no problem. It is okay. But whenever you eat, Whenever you eat, the golden rule that you should always tell yourself is that, do I really need to eat? Do I feel hungry? You ask that first question to yourself. If you're not feeling hungry, you shouldn't really eat. Okay, there's just like few snacks lying around, and people just sit down and spend 10-15 minutes filling it up. That's not correct. If you are hungry, then okay, you can eat maybe 10 times, that's fine. And even if you start eating that 10 times, maybe you should stop at the point where you feel that, okay, it is sufficient for me to stop right now, because I have enough strength to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will not have hunger pangs, and I will not lose focus when I pray salah. I have enough strength. That's when you should stop eating. Okay, that's the golden rule. So yeah, but even that 1/3, you should remember Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you insist, if you really have to fill, then okay, even 1/3 is too much, but if you really want to fill it up, 1/3 is your max. And again, you can't say like, okay, I'm gonna eat 2/3 and not drink water. That's not what it's meant. Okay, some people do that. 1/3, and it doesn't have to be exactly 1/3. Okay, you know exactly when you have to stop. It's not like if you go 35%, 40%. So if we really followed the sunnah, really all the dieting companies you see around will close. That's the basic. So let's talk about what exactly happens if you eat more. What's the problem if you eat more? So there are many sayings of the scholars, even our Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. Remember, during these times there were so much things going on, so many wars going on, so many battles, and even then, in the Friday khutbah, the khutbah of Jummah, he specifically mentioned that beware of gluttony, beware of eating too much, and he mentioned some of the problems. He said, if you eat too much, then your prayers, you will become very lazy in your prayers. Your worship will get affected. And then he said, it is very harmful for your body. It is harmful for your body. You're going to hurt yourself. And and if you look at all the what all doctors say and what all different scholars have said, very common pattern. I don't have to give you a whole list. You know it already. The number one problem with eating a lot of food is what? Diseases, right? The most common diseases that you see around, it's mainly because of food. You either overeat. Some people get those diseases not because they eat it, they get probably because of hereditary reasons. And but whatever, the blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, all these things, the number one reason you ask World Health Organization or anything, it's mainly because of food. And if you eat a lot, you basically lose that blessing, because you are violating the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why when barakah is taken out, you basically fall into all those diseases. And second thing also is laziness. When you worship and when you eat more, you will not be able to focus in your salah or any worship for that matter. If you are a volunteer in the masjid and you eat a lot, then you're like, oh, you know what, I'm so full, I'm so tired, I don't want to do this good job or good ibadah or good volunteering. So you get very lazy. And even I would say that one of the main reasons why people cannot come for Fajr Salah in our time in the morning is because people, when they eat more, they will have the need to sleep more. Okay, that's the thing. If you eat more, your body will require you to sleep more. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, because body will automatically, the sleeping requirement from 6 hours to 8 hours. If you eat more, you will need more, 8 hours, 9 hours, so things like that. So, and you notice people who sleep very less, a very common pattern that you find is that where they eat very less. Okay, and also the scholar said that if you eat less, it's going to be very good for your digestion, easy digestion, and the person's heart gets hardened because of eating a lot of food. That's another thing that they said. Okay, and as the brother said, if you eat less food, you will never have to go to the doctor. Okay, or perhaps very less times, because again, those very common diseases, they will be out. Okay, from your life. And another thing that I like about eating less is that you will enjoy that food a lot. You will feel better at the end of eating. And sometimes people eat so much, and even if you have seen some people, they eat a lot, even full, and they still say, you know what, I feel like eating more, but my stomach is full. Why? Because that blessing is gone, because the actual taste, the actual enjoyment food is in eating less. Okay, that's how you enjoy more. But again, there are some, sometimes it's okay to relax this rule. Very rare occasions, basically. For example, in Eid al-Adha, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he specifically mentioned that these are the days of eating and drinking. But it doesn't mean that, again, we fill it up. You can enjoy your food a little bit, okay? But you have to, again, be very, very careful what you're eating. And also, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also we have seen that he would eat very moderately, but when he would visit his guests, right, or when when he visits his host, when he is a guest, he basically eats a little bit more than what he usually eats, to at least show the host that I like your food. The host will feel better. So that way it is okay to do. You don't have to show your Islam when you go and visit your friends that I'm going to follow 1/3, look at me now. So that's not the way. That's not how you show your religiosity. You show your religiosity when you are at home by yourself. So and also suhoor and iftar, you have to be careful. It's again, you can eat a little bit more than what you really eat, but if you overeat, it's not going to help you. Okay, and even you've seen people who come for Taraweeh, they fill their stomach, and what happens, how their Taraweeh prayer is. All the time they're blurping and thinking about what my next meal of the suhoor should be. Okay, that's what food makes you actually. And you will have more khushu' inshallah if you eat a lot. And again, one thing here is that you can, there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The scholars were hesitant in giving it the ruling of haram. It's not like you'll be punished in the hellfire or something, because they basically said that if you have a command from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it immediately becomes obligatory unless you have another evidence to downgrade it from haram to makruh. So in this case, we covered this hadith in the miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherein you remember what happened to Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, right? What happened? What was the miracle that he was given? The milk, right? The milk. So Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu had little milk and he drank. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say to him? Ya Abu Huraira, drink. At the end he said, drink, Ya Abu Huraira. And then he drank again. Then he drank and he was full, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, Ya Abu Huraira, drink more. So Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, he said that, Ya Rasulullah, I don't have any more space. I'm done. So that was a miracle, that a very little milk, so many people shared, and he was still able to drink it, and there was still so much remaining. All right. So the scholar said that sometimes, occasionally, it is okay to fill it up, but in majority of the times, you should stick to this rule. Okay. So basically, any command that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam he gives, it automatically becomes obligatory or it becomes prohibited unless you have other evidences to prove. That's the bottom line. Okay, one question. Red meat, right? Camel, goat, lamb, sheep. Do you think it is makruh or it is permissible or it is recommended? What do you think? You know the red meat, what doctors say about it, right?
It's harmful for the body, number one.
So what is the ruling in Islam? What did scholars say about red meat, eating red meat? Should we avoid red meat, or what is the ruling? So Islam is very clear now. There is no doubts, there is no questions. Everything, alhamdulillah, scholars explained it. We have a lot of hadith. We know for a fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate red meat, ate lamb, ate sheep, and there is no problem eating that. There is no harm in eating red meat. The bottom line, again, you have to remember, is that the moment you eat red meat or any meat like that, more than 1/3, you are eating at your own risk. You are eating at your own risk. Okay. Even if you take dates, for example, if you fill your stomach just with dates, it is going to be harmful to your body. it is going to be harmful. But red meat is much more dangerous. So if you always fill your stomach with red meat, it is going to be, you will have all those diseases, cholesterol, diabetes, blood pressure, and all those things. But if you eat 1/3 or lesser than that, inshallah, you will not fall sick. Even what doctors say, all those diseases, you will be away from it. Because the moment you eat more, that extra food immediately becomes fat or cholesterol and it stays in your body. But if you eat less, your body, alhamdulillah, the way Allah created it, it automatically takes care of the harm. You have enough immune system and so on. We're going to talk about the blessings of food, the special food that can really help you, inshallah, after all the etiquettes that we do. Okay.